Rascal here, and welcome to another Rascal Reviews. To continue on with my coverage of some of my favorite reboots, this time we're covering the animated TinTin movie, just simply titled The Adventures of TinTin. And this one was actually went kind of under radar. It was created by Steven Spielberg, who turns out to be a huge fan of the Tintin comic series. And I know Richard the Imagineer is really familiar with this one, as he's seen the original series, read the books, and watched the animated movie as well. So Richard, if you're listening to this, I hope you really enjoyed this review, and tell me your thoughts of the movie too in the comments. Now, continuing on, this movie I believe came out in 2012 and had been in development for years, actually, for almost a decade, and then it finally released. And unfortunately, the movie actually ended up going under radar because not many people knew about Tintin. And I can understand a part of that, but it seemed like they really didn't give the film a chance to even have an audience. If you didn't know Tintin, then they didn't watch the movie. And unfortunately to me, that was kind of like a crappy thing to do, because I think a lot of these movies deserve a chance to have a spotlight. So for here, the story I believe is that they combined the two or three stories into one adventure. So it kind of leads from one adventure to another and to another as it goes on, which I think is a really great idea. Now for this, the animation is actually really, really great. And I know most people don't care for motion capture because of Robert Zemeckis' movies. They don't really seem to care for them, and I understand that's how you feel, but I have to say that it actually worked well in here. They blended it enough to where it didn't look too realistic and it didn't look too cartoony. You knew these people didn't look like real life people, they didn't look uncanny, and they didn't look freaky. They actually just look like characters, and I think they did a great job on that the entire film. They managed to make the scenery and everything look real, and the characters looked like they could exist, but they didn't look off when you saw them. They even did a little Easter egg within the movie when a guy does a caricature of Tintin, and he ends up looking like his comic book counterpart, which I think was pretty brilliant. So, I think this movie was really, really well made. Even though I've never read the original comics, nor have I watched the TV show, I think it was a really well-made movie. And I think it appealed to a lot of people, too, that really didn't even know the source material. And it's just too bad that not many people really latched onto this idea or even went and read the original, because it was a really great movie. And it actually got me interested into reading the original comics. Now, I haven't read a bunch of them, but from what I've read, they're actually pretty fun. They almost give me a Popeye sort of vibe when I read them, and I think it's really, really fun. But when you're watching the movie, you kind of forget that you're seeing a movie. And I don't mean in a way where you kind of get bored, lose attention. Is that it's really engrossing as soon as you start watching it. And they do a spectacular job on all the animation for the backgrounds and the scenery. It looks really fluid, really clear, really colorful. It almost looks like you're watching an IMAX movie, if you had IMAX theater or IMAX glasses. And the entire time, you're just really engrossed in what's happening. Tintin seems to retain majority of his original character. They didn't try to update or modernize him. They didn't put the movie in modern day. They didn't add a bunch of things that were supposed to be for a quote-unquote modern audience or today's standards or anything. They just kind of left Tintin as Tintin, but made the scale grander so you could enjoy the film. It actually is written like a lot of the older adventure movies like Tomb Raider or James Bond or Indiana Jones, where you have to go from one place to another to get the pieces that you need for the grand goal. And I think they did a great job in encapsulating all of that into the film. And it had a pretty good cast too, including with Nick Frost, they had Andy Serkis, they had actually quite a few celebrities in here that you really don't hear about anymore, which is very strange. But this was supposed to be a really grand opening to a startup franchise, kind of like with some other movies that we've seen. And because it didn't do well with critics. I mean, it did well at the box office, but there wasn't really a lot of staying power with people to watch it, which was really odd, because a lot of people were craving adventure movies around the time this came out, but it seemed like this just really wasn't on the radar. And it's a shame, because it's a really fun movie. It's really well made. And I think whether you are a fan of the original Tintin comics or stories, or the animated series, or you're just completely new to it and watching blind like we were, I think you enjoy it regardless. It's just a really fun movie, really well made, beautifully animated, and it was made by someone who really truly loved Tintin. And it's coming from somebody who hadn't even read them at the time we watched the movie. So I highly recommend The Adventures of Tintin if you can find it. They have it on Amazon, I believe, on DVD. Unfortunately, it's no longer on Netflix because they're taking off all the good stuff now. But you can watch it on Amazon. They should have on Amazon Prime as well, or maybe other streaming services that happen to have it. You can check maybe things like Hulu or Tubi or Freevee or other streaming service sites to see if they have it as well. And give it a watch. If you have not seen it, I think you would really enjoy it. If you have seen the film, let me know what you thought of it in the comments below. Did you really, really love it? Did you really not care for it? Or did you really just didn't like it at all and just rather not talk about it? Well, if you don't want to talk about it, then you can tell me in the comments. So just please let me know what you thought of any of it in the comments below. Or if you've even seen the original show or read the comics, what did you think of those, and how close did they stick to the story in trying to adapt it and make it new for audiences who've never heard of or read the original character stories. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.